How does it feel to be called the champ now? I mean, how's that feel?
It's awesome. It's definitely everything that I've worked for, ever since meeting my fiance, since day one. We've been on a mission to be the best in the world, and here I am. So it's awesome.
You look quite emotional right now. What's going through your mind?
I'm the best in the world.
Hello, fight fans. Welcome to our YouTube channel, and I hope you're doing well. Today, we will be talking about the silent assassin of the strawweight women's division in the UFC, and also the current strawweight champion, Thug Rose Namajunas. Coming through the ranks of the UFC as an up-and-coming fighter, she competed as a young hopeful in the 20th season of The Ultimate Fighter. Since then, Rose's career has been on an upward trajectory, but also with its share of setbacks along the way. But what makes Rose one of the best women MMA fighters in the UFC? And most importantly, what is the secret to her success inside the Octagon? Let's begin our countdown with
Number 6. Smooth operator and skilled striking.
Rose started her MMA career at the age of 20 in the fight promotion Invicta FC in 2013. She fought there for a brief period where she came up against fellow young fighters like herself. Later on, she was signed by the UFC where she really became a household name. She has come up against really tough competition throughout her career and has managed to add some big wins to her list. You can also add the fact that she has captured UFC gold more than once in her career. For that, she has her slick and elusive fighting style to thank. Rose has always been seen as a smart operator with smooth skills and evasive movement. These strengths have always served her well in the UFC. In her major wins, her striking has been the key for her victories. For instance, in her fight against Paige VanZant, Rose's tremendous striking skills were in full display, where she was picking her shots with superb timing and accuracy. The fight was a one-sided contest, with Rose picking apart VanZant with pinpoint accuracy punches. Her jabs and her left hooks are the major weapons in her arsenal. Combined with intelligent and quick movements, she becomes a major puzzle for her opponents during fights. VanZant fearlessly fought to the end, but that wasn't enough as Rose finished her with a rear naked choke. We also tend to forget that Rose has a pretty good jiu-jitsu game, but that largely goes unnoticed because of her major strengths, which are striking and movement. In her fight against Karolina Kowalkiewicz at UFC 201, fans got to see major developments in Rose's game, as she was contesting and grappling exchanges with Karolina, although Karolina was more effective. Even though she would go on to lose that fight via split decision, Rose showed that she is far from a one-dimensional fighter and has various other moves in her skill set. Rose's elite striking and movement doesn't mean that she's only good at stand-up, but her game is also built around a solid and decent submission game. You'd be surprised to hear this, but in her fight against Waterson, she was out of the blocks as soon as the bell rang, as she constantly hounded Waterson with her trademark counter hooks and straight jabs. Rose rocked her on several occasions until she finished the fight in devastating fashion by submitting Waterson via rear naked choke. Kicks are also an important skill to have as a fighter and can be beneficial if used properly. Rose employs those kicks in a very efficient manner which catches the opponent off guard. In her recent win over the champion Zhang Weili, Rose feinted a kick towards the body, quickly switching it to a head kick which landed perfectly on Zhang, resulting from when she lost her bearings.
Movement of Rose Namajunas, those inside low kicks.
Variation in kicks is also a key skill that Rose possesses. Another important facet of Rose's game is her ability to mix her skills to her advantage. Well renowned for her striking and movement, Rose is also very adept at controlling the distance. She also doesn't give any respite to the opposing fighter, as she is continuously at work with her jabs. In her title defense against Jessica Andrade, Rose bamboozled her by mixing her shots to good effect. She would lose the fight to Andrade, where she was knocked out after she landed awkwardly on her head as she was slammed to the floor. But these are some of the vital ingredients which make Rose such a dangerous and skilled fighter. But that's not all, as Rose has more things that add up to her success inside the cage.
Number 5. Durability.
Being tough and durable are integral parts of being a successful MMA fighter, and Rose possesses that. Her small size might deceive a lot of people into thinking that she might not be durable or that she doesn't have the capacity to take heavy shots. She proved otherwise in her second fight against former strawweight champion Joanna Jedrzejczyk, where both women were engaged in a hard-fought 5-rounder. Rose's chin came through on that occasion as she ate lots of jabs and punches to the face. Her second fight with Jessica Andrade at UFC 251 at Fight Island was another test of her toughness. Even though Rose was clearly dominant in the initial 2 rounds of the fight, there were moments where Rose was hurt really bad by Andrade's heavy punches. Her nose was broken at the start of the third round, and at times it felt as if Rose might lose the advantage in a fight that she was clearly winning. But she managed to stay strong and was able to see through the fight, eventually earning a decision victory over Andrade.
I mean, the first part is just getting right with God. That's number one.
Yep.
And then from there, everything else just kind of technically, physically, just love him when I do again. She caught me a couple times, obviously, but, I just stayed strong.
In some ways, that was a moral victory for Rose, as many had questioned her physical toughness after her loss to the same opponent in their first meeting at UFC 237. But like always, she has been seen as the underdog who has come up big time whenever the odds were against her. To know why? Keep watching the video.
Number 4, the perennial underdog and focused mindset.
Rose, throughout her career, has always been labeled as the underdog heading into her fights. You would be surprised to hear this, but in the majority of her fights, she has been the underdog in the betting odds. But that does little to faze her, as she doesn't really put much thought into it. Even in her past interviews, Rose has always maintained that she is only focused on the fighting part, and the trivial stuff doesn't really matter.
That's something that I've learned over the years, is just always do my best, and then whatever happens, that happens.
In a way, it is true, as her mental fortitude was tested to the limit in her first fight with Joanna, where she was a huge underdog. Joanna, who was the reigning champion at the time, was a master at getting under her opponent's skin by talking to them in a menacing manner. You wouldn't believe this, but Rose managed to bear Joanna's insults, and in the majority of her interactions with the former champ, Rose was absolutely stoic at the face of it all. In fact, Joanna had physically confronted Rose at the weigh-ins before their title fight at UFC 217 at Madison Square Garden, where she over-enthusiastically touched her fist on Rose's face. Rose, being the grounded and calm character that she is, didn't react to it all and was seen whispering something during the face-off. You wouldn't be surprised to hear this, but when asked by Joe Rogan after the weigh-ins as to what she was saying to herself, Rose simply said,
I'm just saying the Lord's Prayer.
Apart from that, there were other incidents involving the two where Joanna had accused Rose's camp of being rude to her team members. All these back and forths would have some kind of impact on a fighter, but Rose was undeterred and uninterested in taking part of the verbals with Joanna. Like all great fighters, she answered her back inside the cage by finishing her in the first round of the fight in trademark Rose fashion by catching her with a counter left hook. After being crowned champion for the first time in her career, along with being joyous, she was calm and measured in her words. In her post-fight interview, she was asked about her feelings after becoming champion, to which she said,
This belt don't mean nothing, man. Just be a good person. That's it. This is extra. This is awesome, but let's just give each other hugs and be nice, man. I know we fight, but this is entertainment. Afterwards, it's nothing.
In fact, Rose had been quite vocal about her experiences after becoming champion and how she dealt with all the attention that came with it, about which we will talk about next.
Number 3, strong character and resolve.
After achieving success at a young age, Rose was far from being an individual who got carried away with the fame and the glory that came her way. You would be surprised to hear this, but Rose's biggest struggle in her career was when she became champion, as she just couldn't handle the attention. Rose, in a recent interview, revealed that, I could be a mixed martial artist and represent it to the best of my abilities, but the things you have to do or be after becoming a champion, where you have to act a certain way, was something I had trouble dealing with. According to Rose, that proved to take a heavy toll on her mental health. External factors such as the bus incident prior to UFC 223, where Conor McGregor and his crew had attacked the bus which had UFC fighters aboard, also had shaken her for a while and increased her anxiety. After losing her title to Jessica Andrade, Rose went on a long sabbatical and even contemplating retiring from the sport. The reason for that was Rose had lost her motivation and love for MMA during that turbulent phase in her career when she was the champ. Taking the time off by being with her husband and family during that period helped her a lot to regain her love for the sport, as well as rediscovering her old self.
It's important for me now to give back and try and spread a good message of changing the world and making this world a better place, or do what you can, and at least just get better every day. So that's something that has made me feel better going into the fight and making me feel more fulfilled with, doing what I do.
And that proved to be the case with her triumphant return to the Octagon against Jessica Andrade at UFC 251. Due to Rose's strong character and resolve, she was able to prevail from the hardships and achieve success in her career.
Number 2, role of her husband and her coach in her development.
It would be safe to say that Rose's husband Pat and her coach Trevor Whitman have been major influences behind her successful UFC career. Her husband Pat, who was a former UFC heavyweight fighter, has been the driving force, who constantly encourages and pushes Rose to be the best. Prior to or during her fights, you can see Pat being the most vocal amongst her corner, constantly reminding Rose that she has what it takes to become and beat the best.
We done seen that for years. You're the best motherfucker ever. Who the best?
I'm the best.
Who the best?
I'm the best.
You've been the best.
Pat and Rose are a lovely couple who are also best friends. Apart from being her support system, he is also the comedian in Rose's life that keeps her happy and joyful. Likewise, her coach Trevor Whitman, along with Rose, coaches fighters such as Justin Gaethje and welterweight champ Kamaru Usman. He has been a great mentor for Rose in MMA as well as in life. Rose has given him the nickname of Positive, as a testament to his positive attitude. He is also heavily involved in Rose's training camps and can be seen instructing and guiding her during drills. Whitman has been credited a lot for improving the striking game of many fighters in the UFC. The same can be said in Rose's instance, where striking is her main skill. The contribution of these two figures in her life have been enormous to her success.
Fun fact.
Rose sports a semi-bald haircut similar to a male, and the reason for that is her hair was a nuisance during training, so she cut it off just so she could train properly without having to do it every now and then.
Number 1. Overcoming her fears.
Like mentioned earlier, Rose has had her share of setbacks in her career due to her troubles of dealing with the attention of being the champion. She also tends to get very nervous prior to her fights, which is largely due to her fear of the unknown, as mentioned by her. But she uses the fear as fuel, and as she became more experienced, she has grown to deal with it better.
The scariest part is just walking to the cage or waiting to get there. And then once the cage door closes, it's kind of like, it's still scary, but it's just like now that's after you've kind of hit the peak of the roller coaster. Probably like once the fight starts is when you start to drop, you're just like, whatever
Okay, here we go
happens,
now.
we're going.
Rose's hunger and desire to become the best in the world has also helped to remove those fears, which were an obstacle to her success. In a bid to overcome her worst fears, she once went rock climbing with her coach. She says that, "Once I climbed North Table Mountain, all my fears went away, and I was afraid of nothing." And these factors have made Rose the champion she is today and have contributed greatly to her success inside the Octagon, making her one of the best women's MMA fighters of our generation. And now, we have come to the end of our video. But before leaving, we would like to know, what do you guys think is Rose's main reason to being successful in the UFC? Out of all the factors mentioned in the video, which one do you believe has benefited Rose the most in her career? You can even tell us if we missed anything. Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.